to Bloody Good Horror, covering the best and worst of the horror genre since Halloween 2007. Listener discretion is advised.
Hello everybody and welcome to episode 345 of Bloody Good Horror. My name's Eric and I'll be your host for this evening, where we will be reviewing Spring, a story about lovers.
Only lovers spring behind.
Goose juice and tentacles and all sorts of gross things. I'm the editor-in-chief over at bloodygoodhorror.com. Joining me tonight, first up, the web beaver of Bloody Good Horror. He makes the webs. His name is Mark.
Hello.
Building websites every day.
Seriously, that's what I do for a living.
In the nerdery.
Mm-hmm.
Next up, he's from Indianapolis. No, he's not. He's from Indiana. Somewhere else, though. He writes horror fiction, and he hosts other shows as well as this one. His name is Casey.
Hello.
How's it going, Casey?
It's going well, Eric. How are you?
Delicious. I'm saucy tonight.
Uh-oh.
Next up on the show, rocking his Duke Tervis tumbler, because that's what he does.
It's really just a glass.
Living in New York City. Just living the life. He's like Carrie Bradshaw over there. His name is John Schnars.
Oof.
Wow,
You are Carrie, too. I hope you know that.
You're such a Samantha.
Oh, Lord. Okay. That's cool. Whatevs.
And last
Take
up
it.
tonight, he's really all of the women combined into one amazing one. He is coming to you from Chicago, and he loves to drink beer, and his name is Joe.
I spent a year looking for those sluts in the bars of New York City when I moved there. They are nowhere to be found.
No, I don't think. Nope.
At least at the kind of bars I was hanging out at.
All right. Apparently, Joe's already been drinking tonight, so that's cool. We are here to review Spring. This is
It's a movie, not the season.
independent horror movie. Yeah, my general
Spring,
review of
not a big
Spring
fan.
is it sucks because it's muddy and cold and like it should be fun, but it's not.
What? All right, we'll come
terrible.
back to that. Come back. This is
Boo Spring.
all right.
The movie Spring, pretty good though, I think, but we'll get to that in a little while.
done.
First up, quick preview. John, tell our audience about Horror Hound Weekend.
Okay. As the one member, well, I guess one of two members not attending, it's my privilege to tell you about
Whatever.
Horror Hound Weekend.
I do what I want.
Why don't you tell me what I'll be doing there, John?
It's a weekend, and so Horror Hound Weekend is a convention, a horror convention thrown by our good friends at Horror Hound Magazine. This is probably let's call it the fourth or fifth year that we've kind of gone as a group, even though we're not all gonna make it as a group.
Yeah, I was gonna make it, but I'm not gonna be able to.
It's
Yeah.
not consecutive years, though.
Non-consecutive, yeah. I guess it was 7 years ago we were all there, or maybe 6 years ago now. I can't even remember.
We old, I think, is what Schnars is trying to say.
It was the first time we all met live in living
We old
color.
as fuck.
That was special. No, but it should be a good time. We're gonna have a lot of, what do we call it? What the new class, or is it
BGH,
the
the
kiddos?
new class.
Yeah, a bunch of the new class will be there. Cece, Sophie, I think Evan,
I would also
Yes.
accept the children.
the chillins. I'm
Andy's
sorry.
gonna be there.
Apparently, my neighbor's apartment is burning down. I don't know if you guys can hear that, but it's
That's all right. They probably deserved it.
Sounded like Zelda music or something in the background.
We should say we're not going to have a table this year, so you'll just see us wandering around. I
Just
think.
listen for Joe's voice and follow it.
Yeah.
I
think
believe
most
Night of
us.
the Living podcast will have a table, so we might
Yeah,
be lurking
so
around.
we might be there. I think most of us are going to be there only Saturday. I think Cece is going to be there Friday potentially, and Andy also.
Yeah, and then Evan and Sophie are coming in Saturday, right?
Yeah, and so are Mark and I.
And me.
There you go.
boom.
So yeah,
There will be horror things going. Do you guys know who are the big dudes that?
Well,
Robert Englund.
Joe Charnews and I will be there.
yeah, okay.
So
Doing
that's
six. I like
that's
it.
pretty cool.
Free
I think
Robert
the
Englund's
first-
a big one.
Will you guys sign man boobies and or coin slots?
and
Yes.
we're going to be playing a game of Guess Where I'm Shaving.
Spoiler alert.
Joe,
Nowhere.
I want to talk to you about something that you just reminded me of, and we'll get to that in a second here.
Well, so just to go through the list quick, it appears Robert England will be there, so that's pretty cool.
That's awesome.
Danielle Harris.
She's a
Who's
reg.
almost always
Robert
there.
England, so if you want his autograph, you're going to have to get up at 6 a.m. to get in line, is my guess.
Lance Hendrickson.
Ooh, there's no
Cool.
D in that name.
There's not.
No, it's Henriksen.
Please.
Hendrickson.
You're confusing him with Lance Henderson.
That's
but
his cousin, Lance
That's
Hendrickson.
who I was thinking of.
Yeah.
Heather Langenkamp will be there.
Ooh.
Okay,
Yeah.
positive.
There's a whole bunch of people. So there you go. If you go to horrorhoundweekend.com, you can look at the full guest list.
How many awkward pictures can we get of Joe with horror celebrities?
Oh, probably not with
hopefully a lot.
celebrities, but
Joe
of
is,
weird people dressed up. There will definitely be.
Yes, former WWE and current NXT wrestler Rhino with a Y will be there.
Ooh.
Sure.
Ooh.
I think every member of Danzig's band except Danzig will be there.
So
filling
Danzig.
in for Danzig will be Face Off's Glenn Hetrick, if you guys know who I'm talking about. That guy.
With or without sleeves.
Probably without, in some sort of chainmail get up situation. Yeah, so it's going to be awesome. They're doing the Mask Fest, which is, if you haven't been to a Horror Hound before, they usually have like an entire convention room kind of roped off for masks and special effects stuff, which is really cool. I'm sure there's tons of awesome shit that is happening that we have not done our homework on, but we will be your guides once you get there.
Has anyone looked at the film list? I'm just curious.
Nope.
No.
Oh, good. Good. I'm glad we've done
Yeah,
some
no,
research.
we're just showing up to socialize and then maybe watch a movie by accident.
Beer, man.
Mark, falling asleep in a Horror Hound film screening is kind of
The
a red-
last movie I saw at Horror Hound Weekend was Found, which was written by a former writer of ours, Todd Rigney. A really cool little indie movie shot in Indianapolis. But I spent half of the movie, trying to resist peeing because I was really drunk, then trying to
Resist
find
peeing.
the right moment in the movie to go peeing, and then trying to make it across an auditorium with like 300 people with as least disturbance as possible when I was hammered at like 7 o'clock at night. So
Yeah, the
Schnars
more
was
I
sitting
drank-
next to me. I remember just being like, I have to pee.
The more I drink, the less my patience gets with convention movies, especially if they're bad.
Yeah.
So you'll often find me spilling out of a screening room, just yelling, "It sucked!" It's really
Boo.
bad. Boo.
While the director is like standing, right there, just being like,
Yeah. So
sorry.
now is as good a time as any. Make sure that you are following us on Twitter at BG Horror, following us on Instagram at Bloody Good Horror. We will surely be tweeting and posting pictures and stuff. So if you want to come by, you can probably find us that way.
Well, and we should also say that those tweets and pictures will be in lieu of a show next week. So just
Yeah.
know that up front.
So make
But
it
thankfully
last.
now, anybody of our listeners that are going to Horror Hound knows what we look like.
Yeah,
There you go.
I would also guess that Joe is going to get froggy and fire up Periscope at some point. So
Oh,
if you want to
Yeah.
know what hanging out with Joe the drunken jukebox is like in real time, then
I,
you'll get that.
He already
I
sang, if you
haven't-
tuned into the live stream before the show, he's already sang at least 4 songs, including I Whip My Hair Back and Forth by Willow Smith.
It's a good one.
Yes.
Joe, what are some of the other words of that song?
That's all I know.
No, she just says that for 4 minutes straight.
Hey, Dad, Will Smith. I whip my hair.
Hey, you are my dad. Hi, Dad.
Hey, my dad's Will Smith. Back and forth.
If you if you want to check out find out more about this live streaming business we got going on right now, you can check out our Patreon, patreon.com/bloodygoodhorror. You find out a way you can support the site and get some cool stuff in return. I think maybe we'll just keep the plugs to that this week. How's that sound, Schnars?
Boom.
But basically,
Nailed it.
you could watch us live. That's the headline, I think, because sexiness.
John, do we have
So-
a list of people to thank, or is that coming up 2
Oh.
weeks from now?
Shit, Jay,
God
we do.
damn
we
it,
do.
Sean.
We
son.
do. We do.
No, listen. This is actually listed on the Patreon page. I completely forgot about it for several weeks, and we're gonna run it back.
For several weeks.
I want my dollar back.
Yeah. No. So you want me to just run them down real quick, Eric? I got 20 names. It's the next
Well-
20 names off our list.
So before you do, in case you haven't been listening and hearing us hammering in this, Patreon is a way that you can contribute to the podcast, and you get a little bit in return. And the larger total donations we get to do more stuff. So
You get a little bit of love in your heart too,
yeah,
which is nice.
So we've hit some of our milestones so far. The first one was newly designed shirts, stickers, and coasters, which are already well underway, and a new video show, which is currently in the works, and also an app, which is also currently in the works. And so we're hard at work on all of the milestones we've reached already, and looking forward to possibly some new ones in the future if we can figure out what we want to do for those. And so thanks to everyone who has pledged and donated so far. It's been super helpful, and we get to kind of do a lot of stuff that we wouldn't be able to do without the support, so it's awesome. And here, John will present to you a list of people who we have neglected to thank over the past several weeks, but we will get in the habit of doing that more often.
So, by way of thank you, I'm going to read the name as it appears when you signed up for Patreon. So, if I mispronounce it, that's potentially your fault as well.
Seymour Butts.
Nice. You forgot and you're blaming them. I like this already.
No. No, but in all seriousness, I honestly was an honest mistake, and we're glad to be kind of back and thanking everybody by name. So I'm going to start with listen, the first one's name is just Johnny. That's Jonny. Johnny, I think you know who you are. Thank you. But we don't have a last name. But after that, David Strange, John Gaona, Sam K, Andrew Ivens, David Fitcher, Tim Lauschman,
Nice.
Roger.
Roger.
Just Roger.
Roger that.
In a lot of cases, I could guess at people's last names just based on their email address, but I'm not going to do that because
no, that's not necessary.
they would have known, or they would have wanted me to know.
Right.
We have a Jeff, so thank you, Jeff. Our old buddy Randy Katzen, Liz Ramsey, Deanna Halliday, Terry Farthing, Julian Shepard, Simon Lane, Justin Duncan, Isael Hernandez. Man, I hope I got that one. James
Sounded
Taylor.
good to me. James Taylor?
Legend of rock and roll.
Nice.
Yeah, Samantha
Something
Davis.
in the way she moves.
And I don't know if that's
That's
how
my
that song
way.
goes.
That's my way.
And then Patrick Curley. So that
Nice.
is
You know
Alright.
what's exciting about that? A good mix of like people's names I know that are longtime listeners, and also what sounds like some newbies. So that's awesome.
and then Jeff. So
And then Jeff.
And
Jeffrey.
James Taylor.
And then there's
James
Jeff. That's a mod reference, in case you didn't know that one, John.
No, that's awesome. Thank you, everybody who donated. We like blew by our first couple of goals like really quick, and it's just like continued to get better. So like man, we got nothing but good things coming up. Bloody Good Horror, thanks to our patrons.
patrons.
Patr-
I think we
pa-
should just
pa-
stick with patrons.
Patreoners. I think
Yeah,
we can all agree.
perfect.
Joe,
Yes, sir.
speaking of patrons, like
Did,
patrons at a bar per se.
Did you get
It's
the
totally
9?
unclear which beer.
I did.
Joe-
Listen, I got it. Why don't you tell us what we are drinking tonight while we review spring?
Sure. So I had a little meltdown because the beer I originally picked, it turns out I've done in the past, and then I freaked out because I
Amateur.
didn't like the other one I was picking. But I'm pretty happy with this one. For those of you who do not know what spring is about, it is about a like 6 million year old succubus lady person who moves to Italy and dates a man or something. Anyway, let's just move on.
Guaranteed 100% better than Schnarr's
Yeah, I was
synopsis.
gonna say I don't need to synopsize now. Thanks.
Also, world's most flippant spoiler. I'm like,
So,
Oh, Jesus Christ, Joe.
That's
well.
kind of revealed pretty early on, but that's okay.
Yeah,
I
like
guess
an
you're
hour
right.
into the movie, sure.
Yeah, it's true.
Wait,
but anyway,
let me throw up the
in-
spoiler alert graphic.
she was a platypus the whole time.
I'm just going to put this over Joe's face.
she's got fish business. So I picked a beer from a beer I actually had for the first time this past weekend, and this is Raging Cougar, which is from Two Brothers Brewing Company, which I forget their location as we speak. They're located in Warrenville, Illinois.
Oh no.
And so the Raging Cougar is a pale ale, so it has a nice hoppy flavor to it. really easy beer to drink. Still kind of warm here. And I actually had this past weekend at the Kane County Cougars minor league baseball game as we enjoyed Star Wars night. And this is
God.
actually, yeah.
That
I
is
saw a
too
Star Wars
much.
toy on one of my coworkers' desks today, and I nearly shit my pants in excitement.
Oh,
I'm not joking in any way.
I'm not gonna
whatsoever.
lie. Somebody on this podcast was up at 5 a.m. this past Friday to go to the Disney store.
It's the best.
Oh my god.
And tell him why that person
My
was there,
favorite thing
Joe.
about Joe is how he constantly acts like he's above the childish things that we're into, and yet he's clearly the biggest child on the show.
Oh, it's not
There was a
close.
free pin. It's a collector's item. But anyway, this is a beer that Two Brothers actually brewed specifically for the Kane County Cougars. So you can only get this one at the ballpark. But it's super good. It was really
For the
great
next
as a
time
hot
you're in
night.
Kane County.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah. Sorry, fans.
If you're
When in
visiting
Kane
Chicago and want to take an hour and 20-minute drive outside the city,
I'm going to guess that
go
you
pick
drive
these
by
up.
some corn on the way there.
Eh,
Yeah. Or some soybeans, maybe.
you drive by the band corn.
They're just,
but this one
they're
comes
just
in at
playing on
about
the side of the road.
dun, 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 twist.
Dun, 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 dun.
Comes in at about 5.5% alcohol, so not super high. Definitely good on like a hot summer night, or still when it's kind of humid out. I partook in a few of these and was still able to drive home. So there's an endorsement.
It's
But everything.
unclear if Illinois Highway Patrol would have agreed, or
That's a terrible PSA.
Two Brothers puts out some really great beers, so I suggest anything of theirs that you can track down. And what did I give the website? It is twobrothersbrewing.com, and there you go.
Great. That's just
Thank
great.
you.
Thank you for Tales of Responsible Driving, Joe. All right, guys. Let's take a quick break and review Spring.
What are your qualifications?
Well, I attended Juilliard. I'm a graduate of the Harvard Business School. I travel quite extensively. I lived through the Black Plague, and I had a pretty good time during that. I've seen The Exorcist about 167 times, and it keeps getting funnier every single time I see it. Not to mention the fact that you're talking to a dead guy. Now, what do you think? You think I'm qualified?
Hello, this is Jeremy Gardner. I'm the writer, director, star of The Battery, and you're listening to Bloody Good Horror.
This is it, Jennifer. Your big break in TV. From the prime time, bitch. Main feature.
You know what time it is, Shanars. It's time for the main feature. No, you never listen to the show, do you?
No.
Son of a bitch.
I listen to the
Fucking
show when I'm not on
hate
it. That's
you.
when I listen to it.
Joe knows what I'm talking about because he listens.
Welcome to primetime, bitch.
That's right. That's right. That is right. The other time it is right now, John, is for the word of the day. So please stand by for that. What do you have for us tonight?
Today's word, a very special word, and that word is vernal. VERNAL.
Like
You know
Ernest?
what I mean, Vernal?
My name's Vern.
Vern. Vernal means of, in, or appropriate to spring.
I just keep
There you
thinking about
go.
Ernest. I'm sorry.
We're relating to Vern.
Yeah.
In
Vern.
Spanish, spring is verana, right?
Nope.
I don't think that's
What is
true.
verana?
I think
That's summer?
Verano is summer.
It's not as good as knowing it, Vernal.
Whatever. Screw you guys. That's it. Just screw you guys.
Piranha is a combination of the word vagina and rana, which is frog. So it's
No, it's a combination of vagina.
La
and
Rana,
piranha,
right, I remember that.
sequel to two teeth.
Yeah. The sequel to Teeth, yes.
Wait, did somebody say Verona Ray?
John, you have an origin for that word?
I can't get to it now. Yeah, it comes from the Latin ver, ver means spring, and then vernus means of the spring. And that
Mons
actually-
Venus. No?
What is that?
You just made Joe get up from his chair.
Verona
just
Del
left.
Rey.
I'm sorry. I'm sorry. I apologize for that. That's great, John. Nice job. Very nice job. John, why don't you tell us what this movie is about?
I'm not gonna be able to get it out. Oh, Christ.
That's what she said.
Can I just can I just read the description from IMDb?
No, you can do your job and synopsize the movie.
Got you there, John.
Oh, Christ.
I didn't
It is
hire
so
a Duke
hot.
graduate to have him read the synopsis off of IMDb.
All right. I'm ready. I'm pulling myself back together. Professionalism. Spring. It is a 2014, according to IMDb. I think it kind of got a release this year, but directed by Justin Benson and Aaron Moorhead. Writer is Justin Benson, so you could call this a Justin Benson joint. I think that would be appropriate. It's really the story of this guy Evan, who, as the movie opens, is with his mother who's dying, which is just a hilarious sequence. No, it's terrible. But he, yeah. So that happens. He kind of has a little bit of a kind of personal breakdown. He beats the guy up pretty bad and decides he needs to kind of get a break, kind of get away. And so he takes some of the money that he's gotten from his mother's death. His father's actually also passed. And he goes to Italy. And he just kind of bums around Italy. He does the whole, like, stay in a hostel. He meets a couple British dudes.
Oh my God, he meets the two awesomest British dudes ever.
Yeah, yeah, they're bro-ish.
Like, you ever seen the British version of Jersey Shore? It's called. No. I'm not joking. It's called Geordie Shore, and they're like.
Oh, that's a real thing.
Oh yeah.
I knew there was one. I didn't know.
It's actually more ignorant than Jersey Shore, if you can wrap your mind around that.
Nope. Since I'm a middle-aged man from Indiana, would that be classified as a job?
I think so. Sure. As an American who knows
what?
nothing about it, I'm gonna say yes.
Wait,
yeah,
what?
That's a word for
chav.
like I don't know.
A hanging chav?
Yeah.
Yeah,
Yes.
it's like that.
Yes, Joe.
All right. Let me bring this back to Evan, our buddy. So while they're originally in Rome, they go south, and I'm not going to remember the exact town that they're in, but they go to this sort of old town on the coast. And while they're there, he sees this girl, Louise, who he just like kind of falls immediately in love with, like head over heels in love. He tries to pick her up. She kind of plays hard to get. His two friends decide to leave. They're going to kind of keep going. Or no, they're actually going to go to Amsterdam, they said, because they ran out of money. And he decides he's going to stay. And so he just stays. He gets a job on a farm, working on this farm with this older guy, Angelo, I think. And then, and then he basically just engages Luis in this relationship for basically the rest of the movie. At first, she's kind of playing hard to get. There's some sort of weird stuff about her, but he's just like 100% head over heels. And I mean, I don't know, like how far, even though Joe already spoiled the movie.
Yeah.
They're engaging this relationship, and then like well, actually, you know what? It's not quick. It's like an hour into the movie. He starts to realize that there's weird stuff going on with her. The audience knows.
She smells funny sometimes.
The audience knows beforehand, and then he starts to unravel it.
Yeah. So we see pretty early on where she's got sort of like not even like a rash. It literally looks like she's got kind of zombified skin that keeps kind of creeping out, and then she has like even weirder shit that's happening where parts of her body are changing into other things. That we kind of see some of this, but he then becomes like a little bit more aware. But right up until she essentially breaks up with him.
There's a hella info dump at some point that kind of runs through the whole thing for you.
But even at that point, and that's like there's only maybe a half an hour left in the movie. She kind of breaks up with him to really to protect him from what's going on, and it's at that point that he kind of figures he walks in on a real extreme situation, and it's only then that he really figures out what's going on. And then she does like the info dump of all info dumps, I would say.
Yeah.
So
let me tell you about science.
Yeah.
Here's the thing.
She's a. I should have mentioned.
It's a me, Mario.
Hey, I'm a big squid.
She's a.
You like a calamari?
She's an evolutionary biologist by training.
Of course she is.
Yeah, and so she studies evolution.
All right,
and
Mark.
cells.
Yeah.
I'm going to say that I was right. Joe's synopsis was better, first of all.
All right.
Second of all,
He
Mark
really cut to it.
really nailed
got to
it.
the point.
Nailed it. Mark, what'd you think of Spring?
I really liked it. I think we'll talk about this. It is not the most horror-y horror film, but there are things that happen in it that I can't imagine your normal viewer being like totally okay with.
Sure. Somebody
we're kinda
mentioned
having-
Only Lovers Left Alive.
Yeah,
It's kind of a
that was me.
similar vibe to that.
But like weirder, I
Yeah.
think. And I don't know. I think that this movie's really well written. I think the setting is awesome. It's something that kind of leaves you thinking. It's also pretty funny too. There's some like
a weird
some
way,
dark
yeah.
humor in there, and this is honestly, I use the word interesting a lot, and it's kind of a cop out, but this is like one of the more interesting films that we've seen in a while.
It's super different.
The whole time, like I go through this. I mentioned you guys earlier today that I kind of go through this process where when I'm watching movies from the podcast, I'm like, I keep saying like, I think I like this. I think I like this. Just waiting for something to come along and ruin it. And this gets pretty weird towards the end, but honestly, like once it was all over, I thought it was pretty awesome, and it's definitely far more memorable than most of the films that we've seen in the past couple of years.
All right, Casey.
No idea what I was getting into coming into this, except for Sophie, who writes for us at bloodygoodhorror.com, was raving about it early on. So I didn't even look at the plot synopsis going into this. That said, I got pretty wrapped up in this fairly early on. Our lead guy, Lou Stanley Tucci, is that his name? He's
None
pretty.
of us know that.
Mm-hmm.
He's pretty good leading man there in material. We have seen him before. He was in Evil Dead. He was a long-haired hippie in that one.
Oh, wow.
Yeah.
Okay, I didn't put that together.
Yeah. But yeah, he
Nice
was a
work.
pretty good leading man. I was able to connect with him in his whole situation and everything. So you had some sympathy going into him, and then watching his adventures, it was kind of cool to see everything unravel like
Yeah.
he was watching it.
It's like
so,
Hostel if the main character was not a douche.
yeah, in a way.
All right. I like the main character. I think.
Well,
you.
Joe, what'd you think?
I am probably in the same boat as the rest of you. I actually enjoyed this. I will agree, and I think we kind of talked about this over email. Like, it's not super horror-y, but it's hard. I think I made the comparison. Like, it's a love story, but this isn't going to appeal to someone who likes Sleepless in
Normally
Seattle or
likes
something
those-
like that.
Yeah,
Like,
exactly. Yeah.
But I think to us who have watched so many of these things, you only see like 2 or 3 scenes where there's like real gore, and the gore in this is pretty violent.
Super gross.
You kind of overlook that. I do think it drags on a bit, like that whole scene that John was talking about with the where he hooks up with those guys in the hostel. Like, there was really no point to a lot of that. Like, that could have been cut out completely.
I kind of loved listening to those guys, though.
But yeah, that's kind of my point. Like, it definitely, you probably could have cut like 20 minutes out of this.
I think you could almost say that about any portion of the movie. It felt like
Yeah,
about 10
but I
minutes
think
too long.
the story and the setting and even the characters to some extent are enjoyable enough that it doesn't drag on.
Yeah.
Which I think says a lot for this, because it's like an hour and 47 minutes or so.
It's too long.
And you really don't get an idea of what's going on for probably at least like 45 minutes of this. So overall, I was a thumbs up for this one.
John.
Yeah, I would probably go even further than cut out the 2 dudes to, like, you could jump to him just being in this town.
Yeah, totally. You could have cut out that whole part.
I mean, the whole, like, watching his mom die. I mean, it was a
He could
well
pull like a
shot
funeral,
scene.
like a funeral card out of his pocket that says
I
"mom"
mean,
on it.
I think it helps show his kind of aimlessness, I guess, but
It's a
in the
lot.
end kind of leads to some of his decisions that he's making as a character, but it's just
that's-
too much of it.
Yeah, that's it's a lot to ask of a viewer to just get to the fact that he's.
I'll be honest, I have a bigger problem with the third act, but we can get to that.
All right. So I will say that I liked this okay, but I'm probably on the more negative side. I think I'll play the role of just like asshole for the purposes of this episode.
Oh, John,
It's
change of pace.
yeah, no, no, I think ultimately I actually agree with most of what you guys are saying. I'm a huge sucker for, so I think I said over email the like rotting Europe, which
Yeah, it's. I
is
mean,
actually
they really like linger on that stuff. In a
yeah, I
great
mean
way.
because the town that they shot in is just fantastic. I mean it's
Yeah.
really really interesting visually. There's a lot of pretty interesting cinematography. Although I'm curious, Eric, what you thought of some of the camera work because some like the overhead shots were like clearly like really high digital or something, but then a lot of the
Yeah, it looked digital.
scene work was like not that crisp, and maybe that's intentional, but I don't know. It kind of like popped in and
I
out.
really liked the way it was shot. I thought it was super interesting, and I like the way it's cut too. Like they cut to a lot of these little random vignettes that
Yeah.
in
Well,
the
it's
middle of
very
things that don't necessarily have something to do with the plot, but just really hammer home how the feel of like the setting.
it's very dreamy. The whole
Sure.
thing has this sort of dream quality
So
to
It
it.
dreamy.
reminded me of Honeymoon because
Sure. I
that's
mean,
got
the
a
other
similar vibe.
I threw out I didn't see Honeymoon
Tentacles.
with you guys. I threw out that movie
Yeah.
Monsters, which I realized like had
Okay.
other
Do we have
issues,
to talk about Mumblecore?
but I think it at least from like a pacing. It's funny because Joe mentioned
Mumble
this
feels.
wouldn't appeal to like Sleepless in Seattle folks. I'm kind of curious how this would play with Twilight fans because it's definitely more graphic than
They
that,
only
but like
want Twilight though, John. That's
well, I
because of
mean, but
Twilight.
this is like it is a love story with horror elements as opposed to a horror movie that has a love story in the middle. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
So, in any event, yeah, I don't know. I liked it. I think the overall, like a lot of the, I probably went in with higher expectations, and I think it set me up to have higher expectations because I liked so much of it. But I really wish there's a better movie that they could have made within
There's
this
a
movie.
tighter, yeah, but it's here though.
Yeah.
Like that, yeah. I think that's my kind of feeling. Is it's 2 weeks in a row now where we're looking at things that are really unique and different from a lot of the other crap we're seeing, and that's awesome. I love that. It's got me like feeling positive about this stuff. It's shot really well. It's like these interesting characters. You got two pretty engaging leads that actually have chemistry together, which could have tanked this thing, I think, if that didn't work. To me, I think it's too long. I think the tone is weird. Like I almost could have done without the comedy stuff in a way. Like there's some really actual laugh out loud moments in this movie that they seem to be going for, and I almost wish they would have just gone for a really over. It sounds weird, but almost really just commit to overwrought, tragically romantic kind
Well,
of
if
thing.
you take this movie and you remove the humor from it, you have Only Lovers Left Alive, like almost
sure.
exactly,
Which is
basically.
just dead ass serious,
Just deadpan.
like Tilda Swinton serious.
Dude, Tilda Swinton knows how to mix it up. Come on.
But and I also think that so you have this info dump at the end of the second act, and it comes late in the movie, but then can compared to what's left in the movie, it almost comes too early in a weird way, because then they just have to go in this whole other kind of direction, and I just felt like the movie lingered around too long after giving me that information, if that makes sense. So I had kind of pacing issues with the third act. Overall, though, I really recommend this. I think as an indie movie, it's really impressive, and I think people who are into this stuff that's just different and taking a different, more subtle approach to the genre are gonna really like it.
Yeah, and so one of the things, I know that we throw around that word mumblecore a lot, but I think that we should be careful not to mix that up with just being kind of an indie movie. I feel like this has just a normal.
This is not mumblecore.
Yeah, this has a normal kind of romantic angle that's pretty easy to follow outside of all the other crazy shit that's going on.
Well, and there's actually a lot of it's a talky movie and not in a the talking is not mumbling. I know that's not exactly what a mumblecore movie is, but
it seemed like a scripted movie though. Like to me when I think about mumblecore, I think about a lot of ad-libbing and stuff.
No, yeah,
stuff like that.
that's what I was gonna. Yeah. That's exactly what I was kind of getting to.
And you don't see that here, I don't think.
Yeah, the main character Evan. If anything, there's times where he's talking about stuff that clearly the writers or the writer and directors kind of they either feel or just wanted to kind of put on the table. None of it's even that central to the movie, although there is a lot of kind of digressions on love and relationships and things of that nature. But yeah, it's not mumbled. It's straight up, scripted dialogue
Yeah,
and things
sure.
of that nature.
Somebody
understood
brought
almost all of the
up
words.
monster. That's the only reason why I mentioned mumblecore, and I just like
Yeah, no, I did.
I like getting Jill worked up.
The other thing about how this is written and the characterization, the male lead is like, he's not crazy like Terminator movie or Godzilla superhero.
He's just a dude.
And he's not like and he's not just like a super, whiny, ineffectual dude. He's just a dude. And I think that's like actually a pretty strong writing choice to make him kind of an asshole, but also sort of nice. You know what I mean? It's just like it's remarkable in how unremarkable they make him. I
You
guess.
know who my favorite character in the movie is? So there's this recurring theme of how American tourists are really obnoxious. And then at some point he sees these like Americans partying in the beach. And there's a dude who the casting notice must have said like American dude bro number 3. Because he's got like an American flag like bandana around his forehead.
Oh my
and, like,
God, dude.
that
like,
guy was the best. Yeah.
He might as well have been wearing a Larry the Cable Guy t-shirt.
The best, but wow, just like, hey, can you
Little
imagine
on the
getting
nose.
that part and they're like, so we just wrote down drunk rapist on a sheet and
Yeah, well,
here's
that's
an
what I was
American
gonna say.
flag bandana. So just
It was
improv,
weird. Your
you know?
agent said you'd be
Go with your
perfect.
gut. Yeah.
That dude immigrated to, or moved over to rapist so quickly. It was incredible.
You know
It
what's
went
funny
from,
though?
like,
And
it
it's
went from Americans are really loud to Americans are alley rapists.
But
And-
it's funny, like you talk about the language of film though, and it's really fascinating how the second you get into that scene, you know exactly what is going to happen based on the way the camera is placed. Like never for a second do you think he's going to go up and help her. Like literally the moment you see it, you're like,
it's like
oh
literally-
no.
It's like, but is it because
Oh,
of the
God.
camera placement or because we're American?
Yeah.
Well,
I,
no.
I think they set that up pretty hard that there's no way this guy's going to be nice.
Totally. But it's just like I think it's a visual thing too. It's like, by the way they shoot it, like something bad is going to happen.
See, I will actually throw that on the table as one of my like lesser, or like one of the lesser scenes in the movie because it didn't feel necessary. Like, I guess my question would be, what was the point of that?
I'm not sure what the larger point about American tourists being assholes actually has to do with the overall plot. Much like the English Bros, it's an interesting observation and also like the easiest observation to make. And those characters are also the least fleshed out in a movie with like really interesting characters. They're almost like caricatures.
I mean, if you're talking
I
about
didn't have a
making
problem with it.
Casey,
This is
go
going to sound bad, but I didn't have a problem with it as far as I wasn't thinking about the American stereotypes and the rapists and stuff like that because this was the perfect setup for a holy shit moment with the monster and what we're dealing with in this movie because we've seen a couple of elements of flashes beforehand of this girl and what kind of things are happening to her and whatnot, and you can't really pin it down what's going on, what kind of transformation is going on. So when he walks up, yes, it was skeevy when he walks up there. I'm not saying it wasn't, but when he walks up there and lifts her dress and all of a sudden you see the back of her legs, you're like, oh, what the hell is going on? And then the camera cuts around and you see a full frontal shot. It's like, ooh, that's not at all what I was expecting. So it was kind of exciting that.
I mean, I think it's like they threw a bone to the kind of genre-minded people that are watching this. They're like, hey, you're gonna have to stick with us for 2 hours as we tell this like somewhat nuanced story. Here's like a random throwaway character that's just gonna get straight up murdered.
So then my question is, why not have more of those? Like they could have done more of it. Sorry,
I just think it's weird that they did so much to develop like those two characters in the beginning that he meets at the hostel. And then you have these two guys from America who are just like, in 2 seconds, they kind of explain them. Like, to me, I almost wish they brought back those guys. Like, all right, we went to Amsterdam, we came back, and then she decides to...
Or you feel like in the beginning that they're going to turn out to be something shady.
Yeah.
Well,
and
and
even
like,
they're just bros.
Even
like
his best friend, in the beginning. Like, they spend a lot of time with that character, and then he's just not in the movie anymore. He's, like, not talking to him. He doesn't come to visit. He's just gone.
What's that? You just took a giant bong rip?
Yeah, he called him one time and he was super high, so then he couldn't talk to him.
No, forget it.
That's a good way to write someone out of the movie, like just make them unreliable. Like, no, every time we get in touch with him, he's going to be high. It's not going to matter.
I mentioned previously to the show, that guy was the director of The Battery. I don't know if you guys saw that. I don't think we did a show on it, but it's a fun little zombie movie.
But I do think like that scene where he actually calls his friend, and I think that kind of gets into what Eric was talking about. Like the third act gets really weird. Like
it's just like I feel like they didn't know where they were going after the info dump.
I feel it was really weird when she starts explaining everything. His reaction was really weird because it was kind of like freaking out for 15 seconds, and then he was like, "All right, well, let me go call my buddy and explain this like it's going
And
to be
then they're
really
just
normal."
then they're just LOLing about her, her past, and
Yeah.
like, hee, that's weird.
Like he picks up the phone and calls his friend who he hasn't spoken to in say like 3 or 4 weeks and starts explaining this verbatim. Like his friend's gonna be like, "All right, well here's what I think you should do, buddy."
No, well, and I'll be honest.
We can drop a spoiler at some point if you guys want, but just give me a warning.
Well, I was gonna say I won't spoil, but I got
It's kind
pretty
of a moot point at this point, Joe.
Yeah, but I got pretty confused about what the rules even were, and I know that was like kind of the point was that
it was
like
ridiculous.
well, and she also didn't know 100%, but it did seem like she kind of would say something, and then like a little bit later she'd be like, "But also this other thing,"
Which seems surprising for a microbiologist.
Either
really
that, or they
should
kept
have, like, a
thinking up
diagram
cool
or something.
ideas. They kept thinking up like cool ideas later because she'd explain something, and then with like 5 minutes later, be, "Oh, I lied. That's not the case at all. It's this." That happened a lot in this movie.
Yeah. Yeah. So do we want to just spoil?
Yeah,
and
let me hold on.
You guys
let me get my
can-
fancy spoiler alert graphic here. Who wants to explain this?
I mean, I'm not going to. I was going to ask some questions.
Wow.
No. I'm curious
You'll
if
do
I ask,
what I say.
if you guys, if someone can explain this to me.
I'll do it.
Joe, do it.
Go ahead.
So he's dating this girl, and then we see her like slowly changing into sort of this like squid type person. It's not always the same, right? I wasn't wrong on that. Like she's kind of different every time. So at one point he comes to her house after she dumps him and like sort of bursts in because he sees that, you know, everything's fucked up in her apartment, and finds her on the floor sort of fully transformed into like this weird squid with like this, you know, tentacle on the end that also has like a sharp stinger. So he freaks out and kind of realizes that she's been injecting herself with, you know, whatever, and sees the syringe next to her. He injects her, she turns back, and she goes on to explain that every 20 years she has to have a baby, and like pretty much she needs to get pregnant so she can.
You were gonna say baby injected into her, weren't you?
Well, that's what happened. Pretty much like her body absorbs the baby, and she ends up taking half of the chromosomes of the person that impregnated her.
Hold on, is Joe a microbiologist?
So pretty much every 20
he's
years
as
she
qualified
to do this, and she ends up staying the same age every time she does this. But the sort of conflict comes into play where if she's, and this is where it got kind of weird, like if she's in love with someone, that baby will not actually sort of ingest in her, and she'll end up staying the same person and end up just continuing growing old like a normal
So
person.
it's like a Disney movie in
So
that
basically
way.
it's like somebody took like Let the Right One In, mashed it with like ginger snaps or something, and then said, and then what if we made it 20 times more complicated for no like practical
I mean,
plot reason?
it is like a really convoluted way to get at that kind of like classic trope, like you can give up immortality to be with me for like a certain period.
And the thing
of time.
is, and that's kind of what I'm saying about, I wish they had leaned harder into that kind of tragic romance angle, because they didn't need all the exposition at all. Like, Let the Right One In, there's no explanation for what's going on in that movie, and that's what makes it so amazing.
This
Because
movie's
it's
pretty
not
much
about that.
Splash without John Candy. Like,
Yeah, sort of, yeah.
Yeah, I mean the info dump was kind of annoying, but I thought it paid off well by the end of the movie, just because you had all the tension building up there, because there was all this talk of her leading up to another change when she's going to find out, because since we are in spoiler territory here, he did get her pregnant in their one night together, and so it's coming up to the point where her body's got to decide if she's in love with him and she doesn't change, or if she's going to eat the baby or absorb the baby
Eat the
and
baby.
become something else. It's
And
a
so that
subtle
show
thing.
Dinosaurs for some reason.
If her
And
body's
so,
gonna eat
just so
the
I'm
baby.
clear, like this is where like the body decides whether or not to do the baby thing if she's really in love at the time because of the like
Right, I just like
hormones.
here's my issue, is it just
Pitocin.
I think that it betrays like the subtlety that makes the rest of the movie so good. If that makes sense. Like,
Yeah.
it
I mean,
feels
it
very
gets
ham-fisted
so-
in a movie
I
that's
mean,
like this
so you
actually really
have-
beautiful movie.
You've got 2 hours. You've got 2 hours to paint this picture. and it's not until like an hour 40 that you get the full dub, right? Like, I don't know how you communicate this it's such a weird concept. I don't know how you communicate it in any other way than what they did. But if you are intent on painting this picture, maybe start dropping hints or like trying to figure it out a little earlier in the whole.
Or they have her. Stay consistent on what she's turning into? If they wouldn't have had her showing different signs of turning into different things all along, they wouldn't have had to do the info dump.
Sure.
Because at one point it looked like she's turning into a werewolf. At one point, it looked like she's going to be a vampire or something. If they would have stuck one.
Yeah, that like explanation was probably the most ridiculous, where it was like she can change into anything that is in the history of evolution of people or something along those lines.
So some of the effect work reminded me of In the Mouth of Madness. Like some of the tentacle-y stuff.
I actually thought the effects were really good too. I mean, when she changed,
some of the CG was a little, but it was, but there was some cool stuff.
I mean, yeah,
it was hit or miss, I think.
I mean, the like big monster reveal was ridiculous.
Yeah.
It was like I went, oh shit! Like,
kill it with fire.
It's probably exactly what they're going for. It
Luigi, get it to town to people. We gotta kill it.
You know, it's, like that part of it was really, you know, it was pretty cool, I think.
It's a fascinating movie. I still recommend it, I think. It's just like, especially saying all of these things out loud to other people makes me realize how ridiculous the script writing is at some point.
Yeah.
It's just trying to be a lot of different things, and it does a lot of them pretty well, and then there's some things that it doesn't do super well that you could kind of do without. So I tried explaining this movie to coworkers today, and I'm like, you know, I don't know. Because everyone now at work asks me what the movie we watched is, and some weeks it's like pretty straightforward, and I'm like,
you're now the sounding board for normies like Schnars.
It's like this is a love story, but she's got like a tentacle and stingers, and sometimes she's a werewolf and she ate her rabbits, and like it's just like
if I had a dime for every time a normie asked me, have you heard of this Human Centipede movie?
Oh, it's the one where they tie the mouths to the assholes and they eat and they poop.
And usually I'm like, yeah, it was hilarious.
Yeah.
That's gross. Yeah.
All right. Anybody else have anything to say about this?
My favorite documentary.
Yes. We touched on this in emails briefly. Overall, plot-wise for the movie and stuff, it doesn't really apply too much. Evan goes and he moves in with a olive farmer and takes a job working on this olive farmer with this old Italian guy who has lost his wife some years before, and he's got this picture, and then Evan comments on how beautiful she was and whatnot. Then there's all the back and forth about the old man pining over his dead wife, and then Evan figuring something out as he's watching the old man pining away, and that's when he decides he's okay with his girlfriend being a monster. So we discussed on this before, was the monster girlfriend the wife of the old farmer?
I didn't put it together until you said that, and then that would make a lot of sense with the way the rest of the movie's written, I think.
I'm in the know. Like, I feel like she was pretty adamant about not getting attached, and she was like that from, you know, the first time she did this. So her actually marrying someone, and, you know, like, she only goes for 20 years. So I don't know. No, I don't think so. I just think that scene was him looking at the old guy and like, oh my God, like he still loves this woman, you know, even however many years after she's gone. Like, I have to go be with her.
My question is, what happens if her cycle and the guy from Jeepers Creepers happens at the same time?
When you say cycle,
I would not want to be the housekeeper.
Because gotcha. I'm picking up what you're.
I think that farmer character was one of my favorite characters. Like,
yeah, he was good. Just kind of nonplussed by
so
everything.
Random.
Yeah.
Immigration? Yes. Should I run? Yes.
Yes.
Should
I go make a love to your calamari girlfriend? You go do that. That's amore.
Yeah. Yes.
That's amore. Ay. Spring.
Anybody else have anything else to say about this?
It is. It's hard to talk about because it's so weird, but it's
it's super
weird.
duper weird.
Yeah.
Okay, so
is there a movie guide for this?
Probably not. No. Who would you? So, like, before we get to just outright recommendations, like, besides us, like, who is this movie for? Who does it like make sense to watch this movie?
I don't know. That's a good question.
People like us.
I mean, I agree. I think Eric, you said it. Like, I feel like this could appeal to like the Twilight fan who's kind of grown up a little bit. Like,
Yeah.
Didn't I
That
say
kid
that?
we
Why
s-
is Eric getting credit for that?
was that you, John?
I'd recommend it to that kid that we saw at the Horror Hound like 5 years ago wearing the Twilight shirt that we tried to get, give him a BGH shirt
God,
covered
that's
up.
funny.
Wow,
I forgot about that kid.
Yeah.
That's a
People
throw.
Was
like
that the
what
same
they
kid that
like.
told me he hated the original Halloween? He really liked the remake,
Yes.
and I was like, just get out, just go. Don't even look at me.
This is a good precedent for people that are going to come hang out with us this week. We will inevitably talk shit about you 5
gonna be
We're
years.
douches
typically
about
very
anything you
nice
like.
to fans. Yeah.
I honestly can't say who I'd recommend it to, but at the same time, like if you're in a new relationship and you want to know if your new beau might be into watching some of the weird flicks and stuff that you like, this might be a good intro to judge a reaction.
That is not where I thought you were going with that. Like, if you wanted to look at the signs you should look for, like if her rabbits disappear, or if you find syringes by the tub, or if she has tentacles or a stinger,
No, but if she could watch through this with all the tentacles and weird shit going on and say, "Oh, that was really sweet," you probably got a good, match on your hands.
It is kind of a sweet ending. Like, I don't know, like when it
Very
ended, I was
sweet
like,
ending.
oh,
Yeah.
that's nice.
It's a very sweet end. That could have gone either way.
Yeah, it could have.
Move
Word.
on.
Spring.
Sprang.
That's it.
Done sprung.
That's all I got.
Spring, sprang, sprung.
All right. Would you recommend this movie, Mark?
Vernal. Yeah, definitely.
John,
Maybe.
Joe.
Maybe it's not just.
All right, I'll say
Yes.
no. How about that, Joe?
What? Joe.
Yeah, I would say yes.
Casey.
Yes, because all of us say that we need original stuff. Tired of remakes. This is the kind of stuff we need to support.
Yeah,
John.
I think that's actually like the perfect way to put it. That this is the kind of thing I want to see more of. So check it out.
Yep.
All right, guys, that's it for spring. Let's take a quick break and do some fan mail.
Sally, I hear something. Stop! Stop!
This is the movie that is just as real, just as close, just as terrifying as being there. Even if one of them survives, what will be left? The Texas Chainsaw Massacre. After you stop screaming, you'll start talking about it.
Greetings from Tromaville. This is Lloyd Kaufman, president of Troma Entertainment and creator of The Toxic Avenger. You know, folks, when we're not making those great movies like Romeo and Juliet and Poultrygeist, Night of the Chicken Dead, the Troma team likes to kick back and listen to Bloody Good Horror because Bloody Good Horror is the best television there is.
Send your emails to info@bloodygoodhorror.com or hit us up on Twitter at BGHorror with the hashtag AskBGH. And don't forget to pick up back episodes of the show at podcast.bloodygoodhorror.com.
And we are back. We're back, John.
Oh, we are.
Back and ready to attack.
We don't need to attack, I don't think, but
Speak
Maybe
for yourself,
you don't.
Joe.
Yeah.
Where's the love?
Yeah. All right, guys. info@bloodygoodhorror.com is email address. Brian Lasseter sent us an email with a bunch of things that I may not read all of which, but
And you wonder why
was
no one sends
nuts.
us email anymore. It's like, oh, you sent us an email?
no, honestly, I'm gonna be honest. This is like surprisingly vulgar for Brian from North Carolina. He's usually very genteel, but he says, "I never had a fear of clowns. Of course, last week's selection, clown. But the clown doll from Poltergeist with the telescoping arms scared the crap out of me as a kid. It didn't help any that someone had given my younger brother, who was a baby at the time, a crocheted doll that looked almost exactly like the one from the movie. Finally, for the love of all that is right in this world, please do not give M. Night Shyamalan more money or attention. He's made one good movie, one halfway good movie, and the rest have been total crap. The Village was so bad it actually offended me." I'm going to disagree with that. I really like The Village. The only things even remotely redeeming about that movie were the hotness of Bryce Dallas Howard and the acting skills of Adrian Brody. The plot was totally predictable and incredibly cliched. Eric's hatred of Rob Zombie and his Halloween remakes pales in comparison to my hatred of M. Night Shyamalan. How do you say it, John?
Like you just said it. That way.
I have so much disdain for him. If I ever meet him, there's a very good chance that I will kick his balls through his
right.
mouth. See, that's uncalled for.
Yeah,
That's
right.
Yeah.
Prove it.
You guys are cool, though, so if you decide to watch The Visit, I'll still listen to the episode, but I'll be deeply disappointed if you like the movie. Brian from North Carolina.
I already love it.
Listen,
so.
I stand by The Village. I think The Village is good. You want to watch a
also
bad
think-
movie, go watch Lady in the Water, because that is horrendous.
I also think that as the years go on, M. Night Shyamalan starts to look more and more like Michael Jackson in the Thriller video.
The Happening and Lady in the Water are like just two of the worst movies.
Oh,
I've
fuck
ever
Lady
seen.
in the Water.
Yeah.
I didn't actually see The Happening, but Lady in the Water made me angry.
The Happening, not as bad, but funnier.
I was it may have been one of the ones where I was on but hadn't watched the movie. So there's a classic worth digging up.
Especially
that's
now.
actually a good classic because that movie is fucking.
What's that? Which one? Lady in the Water?
Oh, The Happening.
Well, but especially now, like when you look at where Zooey Deschanel's career has gone since then, it's even funnier to watch her opposite Mark Wahlberg trying to act seriously, and it's just amazing. It's so
Quick,
good.
someone get this girl a ukulele.
And that was right around the time that the whole like Andy Samberg's like impression came out
Say
of
hello
like
to your
say
mother
hello to
for
your
me.
mother for me, and how everything he says is a question. I just remember that's all I could think about when I was watching that movie.
What's happening?
So we're gonna learn some science today, okay? All right. He was a science teacher. Justin says, you guys commented that Clown would have been a good segment in an anthology film. It actually already was. Scary or Die was a video-on-demand release in 2012 with a body horror section about a guy being possessed by a clown demon. That being said, it does not make a good segment because it's a hot, stinky garbage fire of a movie. Literally, the only two things I remember
Sounds
about
bad.
it is that it had that clown section, and at the end, I wanted my Xbox to give me my $4.99 back.
Oh.
There was also a film a few years ago, a British film, I believe, about a clown coming back from the grave. It sucked too. Do you think there will ever be a good clown horror film? Sakes notwithstanding, Killer Clowns from Outer Space doesn't count as it is technically an alien film. Finally, Brock Lesnar.
We're technically
technicality.
sorting movies now.
Yeah.
Yeah, I don't know.
Finally, Brock Lesnar dressed as a clown versus Candyman dressed like Tim Allen in the Santa Claus. That's actually Craig Chaos. That's who that's from.
I mean, come on.
Yeah.
Did you guys ever see The Last Circus? It came out in like 2010.
No.
It is really good.
Really? The
That's-
Last Circus. Oh, wait.
Yeah,
Was that a foreign film?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Wait, did we watch that for this?
No, but I remember hearing it was
No?
good. We reviewed it
We
on the site, I
watched
think.
another one of that dude. What's the guy, the director? He's like kind of
Alex
pretty
de la
famous.
Angela.
Gerard Depardieu.
Yeah,
Yeah,
him.
that's what I
I
meant.
think we watched another one of his movies.
Vernal.
For the show.
It's never not good.
But if you want a clown movie, that's good.
In
watch
related
that.
news, did you guys hear that Jerry Lewis's The Day the Clown Cried is going to be released finally?
What?
I did hear that.
Are you guys unfamiliar with this movie? I don't want to get into it because it's a real bummer, but let's just put it this way. Jerry Lewis made a Holocaust movie in which he plays a clown. And he was so horrified by it that he refused to let it be released. And literally like 10 people on Earth have seen it. He shows it to like his celebrity friends every once in a while. But he has decided that basically...
Hey guys, this party's
Like, to
going great.
punish
You want to
them?
watch the
So what
movie?
he did was it's like one of the long lost like cinema treasures. Like everybody wants to see it. Nobody has ever really seen it. He donated to the Smithsonian or something, or like the National Archive of Film or some kind of museum thing, with the stipulation that it can't be shown for 10 years from now. I actually can't wait. It sounds fascinating.
Wait, I don't understand. It's not. It's a Holocaust
It's a
movie.
serious
so it's sad.
film, yes.
It's sad.
Very
Okay.
much so from what I read. Look it up. It's called The Day the Clown Cried. Again, I don't want to get into it, and when you read about it, you'll find out why. Tweets.
I'm guessing the clown is crying because of the Holocaust. It's just
Well,
a
I
guess.
mean, wouldn't you? I mean, come on.
Yeah, it's sad.
Not a grease paint shortage.
We're also on Twitter at BG Horror with the hashtag AskBGH. Mark.
First one, wise movie nerd. New shirt idea: Photoshop in Joe's head with the "That's one good-looking gremlin." For those of you who are not looking on lovely video, it is a still from Gremlins 2, the new batch. with the lady gremlin and the dude that she kisses.
Joe's conversation last night about how he was attracted to Lady Gremlin got a lot of feedbacks. So
Oh my god, it is my new favorite thing that I know about Joe.
And Joe, my favorite part was Joe said that after the show, he went out to talk to his wife and was like, "So something kind of weird came up on the show. It was about the Lady Gremlin," and she went, "Oh no."
No, all I had to say was something weird came out on the show. Gremlins 2 came up, and she knew exactly what. She's like, "Oh God!" Immediately,
and it doesn't have to do with Grandpa Munster.
It was so genuine. It was the best.
I can't be the only one. I still argue that.
Next one is from RJNC. When is Eric BGH going to make more video game videos?
I plan to, but I got some things going on this end that are making that stuff difficult. So, but yeah, I mean, I'd like to. It's they were fun. People seem to like them, especially random people on YouTube who get really mad about how bad I am at the games. Those are fun.
Yeah.
So,
I mean, you're terrible at some of these games.
You're very bad.
Dude, I rocked Karate Kid. I got to the final of 3 levels in that game.
Yeah.
So, no big deal.
I laughed one of the few times I laughed out loud at one of those videos. I mean, they're amusing, but I laughed out loud when the first time you got to the pendulum knife thing, and
that is
literally
hard.
You had no idea what you were doing the first time, and it just fucking slaughtered you. And I was
that game, Karate Kid, is brutal.
Yeah, it's
brutal,
real hard.
All right,
so soon I think is his answer.
Soon, yeah. Next one from Claire Quilty. Did you buy Louise's explanation for what she is? Some scenes didn't leave me convinced, wondering if that's intentional.
I just think I was confused
what else?
by it.
Yeah. I mean, what else can you believe?
I was gonna say there's not like a plausible other situation.
Yeah, like that's a really convoluted thing to make up, like a really strange and specific. Listen, I don't want to break up with you, so I'm going to tell you that every 20 years I have a baby and it absorbs into me.
Yeah, do you have a notebook? You may want to take notes to refer back to later for when you have questions about strange things happening.
Here's a laminated diagram I keep with me
So
every
this is
20 years.
This is the tentacle. This is the other tentacle.
Here's a laser disc of the miracle of life. All right, and next one is from Alan Murch. Shit's about to get real. Tell us about the worst date you've each been on. I don't know. I feel like everyone on this show is well past the statute of limitations on this. I think.
I don't know that I like ever did that. Like that specific, like, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
I don't know.
I mean, all my bad dates were in college.
Like dating,
and they just
isn't that
involved
like something
way too
people did in
much
the
drinking.
50s? You know, old people, John?
Old people. Yeah, I don't really have any good bad date stories either. I can tell a somewhat funny story about one of the dates. It might have been the second date that my wife and I ever went on. Was to see History of Violence, which, you know, fans of the show will know that I'm a pretty big David Cronenberg fan. So I probably was like just rambling on about how sweet David Cronenberg was and how good the movie was.
And she still married you.
Oh,
And how
then there's
handsome he is.
there's just like a straight up like basically like marital rape scene in that movie.
It sounds similar to your mandates with Joe, actually.
Oh.
It's, you know, we get into marital rape sometimes.
Joe just wants to know when you're going to ask him a question about him, you know?
That's not what I
meant. Always talking about Cronenberg. When are you going to ask Joe how his day was, John?
Buy him flowers once in a while.
You don't bring me flowers.
Yeah, so that was pretty awkward. She still gives me a hard time about it every once in a while.
Yeah, I'm kind of drawing a blank on this one. I don't think I ever went on like an outright bad date.
Yeah, I mean, my only bad date story would be is the only thing that's like more boring than me actually relating the story. So it was just one of those.
I'm already asleep. All right,
Yeah.
Next one is from Rios Jose 559. Are you going to do a show on Contracted Phase 2? No.
Sure, eventually.
Woof. Casey's like, yep, yeah, that we're definitely doing that.
That's spectacular material, man. Come on.
Yeah, but not a show. I don't think we're not going to do a show on.
A spectacular is a show.
Yeah, and we did a
It's a BGH
spectacular in the
product.
first Contracted, and it was the worst one we did.
Yeah. I just don't think we talked about the movie.
It It was
It was
the
like-
drunkest I've gotten.
Was
during
that
this
the one
movie.
we drank
Right?
40s?
Yeah.
Oh,
I don't
God.
think we talked about the movie once.
Devil's Brew.
Yeah.
No, that movie was
not cool.
fucking god awful. Ugh.
All right.
I don't even understand why you'd want to watch a sequel to that.
I
What's
don't
to like
yeah.
about the first one?
I think the first one must have done really well on Netflix, and that's the only reason. I don't understand why another one would be getting made.
Probably at least partially our fault.
Could be.
I don't know if we have that much power over Hollywood, but
I do.
The
okay.
maggots.
I think we owe it to ourselves to get Human Centipede 3 in there before Centipede 2. Or, no.
It's true.
Oh, I'm in for Human Centipede 3. You don't have to convince me on that one.
John's got the diagrams already. He's good to go.
What's next?
I just really want to know what's going to happen.
Next one is from Kabuki29. Who would you cast as a female Hannibal Lecter?
Oh.
Yeah, Mom.
Female Hannibal Lecter.
I mean, we talked about Tilda Swinton earlier. Right?
Yeah.
Kate
Yeah.
McKinnon.
Zoe Deschanel.
Kate McKinnon.
Zoe Deschanel. Yes. Yes. Joe's
I
got
think
it.
it'd have to be Tilda.
Gonna hit you now.
Yeah, okay, Casey, if you're gonna be serious about it, yes.
I know.
Tilda Swinton's the one.
I find Kate McKinnon adorable.
no-
I don't want to think
no
about
love
her
for
brains.
no love for Kathy Bates.
Who's the
Boy.
wife from Antichrist?
Charlotte Gainsbourg.
Yeah.
Oh,
wow.
yeah.
She'd
That
be
would
good.
be good.
Yeah.
Yeah, that would be
She's
good.
also in Melancholia.
Yeah.
It's a great little movie.
Nymphomaniac.
Yes. Oh yes.
All
All those
14
movies.
hours of it.
All right. Next one I think is probably for Casey specifically because I have no idea what the fuck this means. Kabuki29, PewDiePie or Markiplier?
Markiplier.
Pretty sure
Let's
those
just leave it
Really,
at
I
that.
do know what that is.
Those are
Yeah,
I have
YouTube
teenagers.
celebs.
Tubers.
Yes.
Tubers.
YouTubers.
Tubers.
Yes.
Mark, I think you might have missed another Kabuki. Kabuki hit us with 3 right in a row.
3. Jesus Christ.
Well, the other one is very Mark centric, so that's why. I
Oh
wanted to make
shit.
sure you
Well,
didn't
let
miss
me
it.
go. Allow me to go back then.
Hold on, I can just relink it if you want.
You can just read it.
Yeah,
You sent this. You sent the same one twice. That's why.
It's Undertaker or Ultimate Warrior.
Oh my god, fucking Undertaker. You kidding?
Yeah.
All day.
What are you?
All right,
Yeah,
next one. BC likes you. When we were younger, I told my sister that she was a troll that we found under the porch.
That's awesome.
What lies did you tell your siblings?
Nice
My
work.
Eric.
mother loves you.
I never lied to Mark. I just beat the shit out of him all the time.
Yeah, that's true.
Yeah. No, I had an older brother, so I really didn't have any sort of. So
No.
let's move on.
Okay.
The closest
Cool
I can
story,
get is my,
Joe.
my
Oh.
brother, who is he's by 5 years younger than me, but when he was in the army, went in to get X-rays, MRIs for his knees, and found out that it was getting they were having problems getting a clear image, and they found the BB that my sister and I shot him with when he was like,
That's awesome.
Nice.
Okay.
Whoops.
Cool.
that's as good as I got.
All right.
Yeah.
Next one is from Satan's Waffles.
Oh.
Clown was also ripped off of an episode of Aqua Teen Hunger Force, season 2, episode 20. The clowning. Carl turns into a clown.
Oh, that's right.
The clowning.
I don't remember anything about any episode of Aqua Teen Hunger Force I
Oh
ever
my God,
watched for
I love
reason.
that
Yeah.
show.
Yeah, I mean,
put
I
two
love that
together.
show too, but
I realized you're
I
pissing
don't
me
remember
off.
a single episode.
Fucking what were the Moonanites?
That show
cried
is
like a
genius,
dick.
man.
Oh,
No,
it's
no
great.
lie. That
It
show
is
is
really
genius.
What was once yours is now his by way of our actions.
That whole, the funny thing about that whole era of like Adult Swim is like I couldn't stay awake for those shows, so I used to have to DVR them. Like I
Yeah.
really like Squidbillies, and that was like early Robot
I was just gonna
Chicken.
say,
But
Squidbillies
literally,
was
I
the
would like
first.
DVR all this crap and watch it at like 6 a.m. when I woke up because
Yeah.
I'm an old man.
C-Lab, what was it? C-Lab
C-Lab
2020.
2020.
C-Lab,
my
yeah.
God.
I
That
can
was
hang
the
with
best.
C-Lab.
That stuff really was kind of revolutionary though in a lot of ways.
Adrian Barbobot.
But even just doing 15-minute little mini shows was genius.
Oh, it's great.
Rick and Morty is their new evolution. It's pretty great.
I also liked oh man, they had some really weird Japanese anime thing on about never mind. There was a talking tree. I can't remember what it was called.
Okay.
Yeah.
I was just
Speaking of
Casey, go ahead.
Sorry, I got excited for a minute because I know Joe is excited for me because I posted this on Facebook. But awesome cartoons of the past, they got all of Liquid Television on.
Oh my god!
Oh, that's what I was gonna bring up earlier. Joe, can we find you on this MTV archive? Wasn't that Liquid Television technically?
No, it was Oddville. That was the name of the show.
No, but I thought Oddville was like under that whole banner, was it not?
No, it was a whole separate. Oddville was actually like a what do they call public access show in New York City that got picked up by MTV.
Really? Is it still around?
It's not. No, I've looked around.
So for the listeners who are newer and have never heard the Joe story, we won't tell it right now. You'll have to dig through the archives to find out why Joe was on MTV's
And we
Oddville.
won't tell. Yeah,
but I assure you,
where.
I am 100%. I'm not making that up.
and I get hungry every time Eric tells the story.
Yeah.
All right. Next one. 40 Ounce Heroes. Why does Joe BGH dislike Pink Floyd? Can you please let him know he's wrong?
No, I'm not. But you know,
Haven't
hey,
you learned
teachers
Joe's never wrong?
It's true, especially when it comes to Pink Floyd. But you know, it's not my thing. It's drags on a little bit, and it's bad. But you know, hey.
All right. Next one. Robale. Spring, the hipster Jeepers Creepers. Bonus.
See?
Can Eric tell us his thoughts on the Jeepers director again, like in old episodes?
Yeah,
There was
Google
a lot
that.
of
Speaking of
thinking
Google,
about that.
Google that guy's name is all I'm saying.
Yeah.
Eric's favorite fun fact is all of the things he knows about the Jeepers Creepers.
But yeah, this is totally like Jeepers Creepers. It's actually very similar. The whole reasoning for everything and all that.
Minus the
It's like
underpants.
the baby having and then turning into cells and
No, it's like
I'm
the
just
Jeepers
kidding.
guy comes back every 17, 18 years, and he's got to eat people's body
A
parts
baby.
in order to like regenerate those specific body parts on his body.
Uh-huh.
That's the whole thing. Is like he eats Justin Long's eyes at the end and then he has his eyes. It's all
Spoiler alert! Jesus, I haven't seen it.
It's 15 years old.
All right.
That movie came out in 1999.
Man of
Or-
Thoughts.
Obsessed.
Man of Thoughts does not have a question, but just wanted to say that they saw the trailer and it looks twisted. The
What's
trailer
that?
for Spring.
Yeah, it's different.
It's twisty. There's twists.
It's special.
Yep.
Twist.
Next one. P.S. Gauthier 1313.
Mm-hmm.
About to shave my goatee. Is a porn stash an acceptable replacement?
Yes.
Mm-hmm.
I'm all
Did my
for
question,
mustaches.
my reverse ask BGH to you is, did we shame you into shaving your goatee?
Sorry, man. Listen, this is real. You get only real talk from Bloody Good Horror. We're here to help you.
I mean, we've got, everyone's got a friend with a goatee.
And if that means
so.
getting rid of your goatee, then that's what's got to happen.
I know P.S. Gautier. I think he could pull off the porn stash. I couldn't. Last time I tried a mustache, I looked like Uncle Buck.
I will say that's awesome. I will say now though that we know the distinction between a goatee and a Van Dyke. I think a true goatee is actually worse than the Van Dyke. I think the Van Dyke is bad, but a real goatee is just like that's just a way of letting people know.
Can you explain the difference for people like me that
Yeah,
have
what is-
no-
real goatee is just on your chin, like a goat.
Ah.
The Van Dyke is up around with the mustache and the chin.
Yeah.
Somebody pointed that out to us recently on the show.
I think it was RJNC.
That was me. No, I think it was
So I'm
me,
just saying,
actually.
I think goatee's worse, but
Casey,
I know too
you're
much
the
about
facial
beards.
hair. Yeah, you're the facial hair guru.
because with a real goatee, you
Casey,
just look
yeah.
like you have a football helmet, like chin strap on. It's not a good look.
No, that's a chin.
Unless you're like Scotty.
That's a chin strap, Eric. That's a chin strap. That's different.
Bootstraps. Bootstraps.
All right, last one. Last one is from Mr. Stoner 82. Am I the only one who wants to adopt that old man who owned the farm? I can't be.
Oh yeah,
Nope.
I want to hang out with that guy.
Yeah, that seems
Yeah.
cool.
Easiest like farm job ever.
Seems like he
Yeah.
probably drinks a lot of wine.
There was multiple
Yeah.
scenes where he's like, "Is that all I have to do?" And he's like, "Yeah, get out of here."
Eats
It's like, wow,
cheeses.
it's a pretty sweet job.
I could drink
Just to
wine.
pick up
and
the
eat
dirt.
cheese.
You pick up this dirt, you put it over there.
Yeah.
6 months,
Sure,
you
he
put it
drinks-
back.
Sure, he drinks lots of wine.
Put
You know,
it
it's
back.
like the Crown Jews.
Uh,
That's what he said in the movie. Come on, I'm
Yeah.
not being that bad.
Yeah.
this is why the clown cries. All right, last one. Also
This is
from
why
Mr. Stoner
the clown
82.
cries. Sorry.
Do you think she had a sister? Hashtag hooray for May be sisters.
Yeah. Hooray for sisters. All right.
Wouldn't that be weird if she just had like a normal sister? It's like you can have me or my normal sister that doesn't have.
Who
tentacles.
did have a sister,
Who was
right?
also 2,000 years old? Or
Didn't they show the family at the end? Was it a sister
Yeah.
or a brother she had?
Brother.
Hooray for
Did she
brothers!
come from Pompeii? I missed the actual name of it.
I don't know.
I looked up the name of the town because I sent that picture earlier. It's Popligan, something like that. Fuck, now I gotta look it up.
Papua New
Wait, the
Guinea.
name of the town that they were in, or the name of the town that she was supposedly lived in originally?
Oh, that's the town they were in.
Yeah.
Yeah. The town that she supposedly came from looked like Pompeii because there was the whole volcano theme and all that.
Well, they were saying so that was actually one of the trivia facts on, or a goof on IMDb. It's the only goof is that there is no volcano near Polignano is the name of the town.
Yes, that is the most nonsensical thing about this movie.
Yes.
The volcano.
The science is.
Yeah.
Why don't you go kiss your squid girlfriend on the
Unimpeachable.
mouth? Hey.
I always like the line from The Godfather when Michael Corleone's on the phone with the girlfriend and he won't say I love you back, and then he hangs up and the fat guy's like, oh, it's me, Michael. If I don't see you soon, I'm gonna die. It's always.
Yeah. Favorites.
Okay. info@bloodygoodhorror.com is the email address. John, quickly, Patreon, how do people find it?
They can go to bloodygoodhorror.com and just bang it right on the link there on the homepage. You can also
Slap
just go
it
to
right up against it.
Yeah, just really
Smack
get
it up,
involved.
flip it, rub it down.
Put
And
your hand
then
out, flip it and reverse it.
otherwise Patreon, patreon.com/bloodygoodhorror. Yeah.
Also, at one tier there, you can get every episode of Bloody Good Horror for free. We do still, though, if you just want individual classics, you can get those at podcast.bloodygoodhorror.com. Keep on the site. We got Halloween coming up here in the not too distant future, so we got some fun things going on over at the site. And Mark, really quickly, you want to talk about Tweet with BGH?
Yeah, so keep
new
an eye out.
class.
Yeah, keep an eye out on the weekends. Our writers Evan, Sophie, and Spencer have been tweeting about things. They actually did 2 this past weekend. They did the Scream drinking game that Sophie came up with, and also they live tweeted Hellraiser 3. They probably won't be doing it this weekend because they'll be at Horror Hound, but the following weekend, I'm guessing they'll be doing it on Hellraiser 4 or 5. And that's a hashtag tweet with BGH. And you can follow Sophie at Phillies Femme on Twitter, or Evan at Evan Sleed, Slead. Spencer's Twitter handle is escaping me right now, but if you follow Evan or Sophie, they will tweet when it's coming up, and we will try to also retweet that from our BG Horror account on Twitter. But
Yeah,
it's been pretty fun, and they've
little
been doing a movie a weekend. They've typically been doing the Hellraiser movie that Ben reviews on Friday, because Ben, poor sweet Ben, is subjecting himself to the entire Hellraiser series. He reviews one every Friday. So that's something to check out. We have new reviews every day on the site, and we're posting all the latest trailers as they're coming up. And that's it as far as that. And be sure to come try and hang out with us at Horror Hound this weekend if you're in the Indy area.
Amazing.
Yeah.
Amazing. All right, guys. That's spring. It's going to do it for this week's episode of Bloody Good Horror. Hope you enjoyed the show, and we'll talk to you soon.
Adios.
See you.
Bye, everyone.
Bye-bye.